Nada Love, or Nada Sparkles, one of my favorite sisters. No, I love you all. So,
I love you all too.
Yes. So Nada will be with us today. We are going to talk about the mother wand. So not the womb, the wand, right? So we're going to talk about different aspects and the main how we say, like rooted wands that we have in the mother relationship and the mother archetype as well. And Nada is agent of unity consciousness, a world peace activator, and I like to say womb whisperer, if I may.
You may.
Yes,
you
perfect.
may.
The other term is that you like to use.
Like a womb man.
Yeah, womb man. And you want to define it a little bit?
So basically, the womb for me is like the center of the universe, and it's a blessing to be manifested in a physical form that has a womb. And then the I am is the existence of the presence of the consciousness in human form. So I like to combine them. So womb am.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful way. We are recreating our own language, if you will. So it's a beautiful one.
Yeah.
And the way we're going to introduce today the live talk, so please feel free to ask questions. Yes, we're going to share it as well. It's a very good point. Thank you for reminding that. And maybe I will ask Love to do so. Love? Yes?
She can share.
Yes, on my profile. Thank you. So the way it will unfold today, and we invite you to share your questions on Facebook or YouTube. And you also have a private platform if you want to have more this private space. And it's on Crowdcast. The link must be above or on the right, wherever you are watching the video. So we will discuss about the mother wand and then give some tools so you can start to step out of that programming and old this programming and old patterns, and then we will have a little bit of meditation. We are also sending all our love and healing to YogiGeorge. She's with us energetically today. She has personal circumstances, and YogiGeorge, beautiful sister, we are with you, sending your love, prayers, and healing to you and your family. Beautiful. It's strong.
Yeah.
Very strong. Yes. Beautiful. Yes. So what is mother? Yes. What is the mother wand, and how you came to spreading this awareness around mother wand and receiving information, how to bring awareness around all sisters and all women as well.
So during my morning practices, I have a practice where I meditate on a daily basis. And in my meditations, I get different information that comes through for me. And one of the most profound informations that has come through at this moment in time is, other than healing the feminine and healing the inner masculine, it's really healing the mother wound. And the mother wound isn't just between daughter and mother. This has been going on for generations and lineages from beginning of time. So all the wounds are transferred through behavior with the core and through our genetics. It's embedded in the DNA. And once we heal truly the mother wound and start having this bond of respect and nurture and love with our physical mother in terms of physicality or energetically, then we will be able to establish that same relationship with the earth, because our earth is our mother as well. And then that is a path to world peace. So, so it is very important to look into the mother wound, and it's a common wound that most people have, women and men. And today, in today's episode, what we're going to talk about is we're going to specify the main wounds that we've realized that women carry. And then we're going to share some tools of how we can use them in our everyday life to overcome this frequency and heal the mother wound, so we can, embody a graceful relationship with the earth, a graceful relationship with the mother within us, and a graceful relationship with our own physical mother and all mothers.
Yes, and as a mother as well.
Yeah, as a mother as well. Yeah.
So, what would be the most common wound that woman experienced as a mother or as a daughter as well?
So I would like to just specify before we start, because a lot of people would like to go, oh, I was right, or to go into the blame game, etc. So nobody has done anything wrong here. This is a wound that's been carried unconsciously from generation to generation to generation to generation. And if we are dedicated to our path, or if you're dedicated to become the most, you know, expanded version of yourself, then the focus here is to overcome this wound and to heal this wound. The two main ones that we're going to talk about today is comparison and contrast. And the comparison and contrast between mother and daughter, and how this translates with the daughter with all her feminine relationships. And the second one is about the mother translating or pushing all her own limitations on her child, making the daughter feel that she's not good enough and she needs to keep improving herself to be accepted or to be loved or to be worthy, etc. So she's never enough. There's no fulfillment. So those are the two wounds that we're going to talk about today.
And you will see how it will be relevant with your own relationship with your mother, and how you will relate to it. And if you have sharing, or if you like to share your experience, please feel free to share as well, because we are somehow all having similar experience with our mothers, as Nada was saying, that we've been carrying unconsciously as well through our lineage and ancestors, and each time it becomes stronger. So it's our own responsibility now to release that programming, to release those wounds, so the next generation and also your past generation can benefit from that light and from that healing and new learning. We can literally heal. We remind you that you can change the past, the present and the future, because it's on the same line, and there's actually no line, no time, no space, and it's all happening at the same time. So whatever is happening now, with your awareness to shift it, you can literally go back into your past and this lifetime and to shift it.
And
right?
it happens consequently. Like the second you heal that wound within yourself, it's an automatic thing that all the ones that came before you have healed it, and then the ones that come after you have healed it as well, because it's no longer anchored in the present moment, which is the only moment that Mathilde was talking about.
Exactly. Yes.
Also, one of the most important things of why it's important to heal this is because we have two main states of being. You have a contracted state, and then you have an expanded state. And when somebody's in an expanded state, then they're feeling very blissful, they're feeling very harmonious, they're feeling very optimistic about life. They have their generator, their manifesting generator switched on. So things are moving in a beautiful, positive, exciting momentum. And when somebody is in a contracted state, then there's a lot of frustration, there's a lot of obstacles, there's a lot of, you know, frustration energy related to it. And then the path isn't very smooth. So when we have the mother wound and it's surfacing, what happens is we become in a contracted state within ourselves, within our community, with our sisters, etc. So one of the most vital ways, or one of the most vital reasons to clear this is so we can maintain an expanded state. Because it's in our DNA. Most women have it. I think any woman born before the year 2000 will have it, because our families or life was very unconscious. And now people are more living in awareness and more in consciousness, so the new generations, these starseeds that come along, probably will not be having this wound embedded in their core. So
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I love when you talk.
I love you. So
Nada, she always has like beautiful stories, and the way she brings the teaching as well is beautiful.
Oh,
it's like
you.
drinking your words. Yes.
And these are the messages that came to me in the meditation. Like, you know, it's before the year 2000. After that, the kids come and they have a different agenda. They have a different DNA
Completely,
program.
yes,
Yeah.
of course, yeah.
So to stay in an expanded state, healing that wound within ourselves, because we're women, and every single woman, whether she's single, whether she's a mother, whether she's a grandmother, she has all those archetypes within her. So we have the maiden, we have the mother, we have the crone, all of that. Yeah, the doula, all of that within us. So shall we dive into?
Yes, let's go, of course. This topic is extremely interesting and very extensive as well. So we will try to make it condensed. And if you really want to know more about it, then we can do a second round.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes. So yeah, that's perfect. So,
and also I'd like to add, and if you're resonating to this, know that Mathilde and I are very dedicated to expansion of people, expansion of humanity, expansion of the planet itself. So if you feel that you resonate, we can always offer, or I can always offer a consultation where we can sit either on Skype or one-on-one and discuss what's going on in your life and how we can put like a program or a path for you to overcome this.
Yes.
So you can become, you know,
Yes.
Your own divine perfection, which is already inside. Yeah.
And there will be probably a workshop as well.
Yes.
Yes, that is being baked and cooked. So that will be like a beautiful time as well for all the mothers and mothers to come to join and to start raising those programming. So yes, so the first big wound that we've been carrying for so long.
So the first big wound is the compare and contrast. So this you can find this in society, you can find this within the family, where women constantly compare themselves to one another, and there's like a competition going on. Who's better, who's smarter, who's this and who's that. This starts with the mother and the daughter growing up. So when a child is born and when it's a woman, because we're not living in this place of unity and this place of collaboration, what happens is that every child is born with a higher consciousness than their parents. And when a person is not living in awareness, that is a threat. And when that threat is in place, a comparison is automatically generated. It's like the byproduct of a threat. It's like flight or fight. So then what happens is the mother keeps comparing herself to her child, not because she's a horrible person, but because it's the way our brain functions when we are living in the survival mode. So the mother will start comparing herself with her daughter, and then she'll have a competition going on that's very unconscious. And then what happens is the daughter doesn't understand what's going on, because the daughter or the child is in love and is in peace and is in harmony, and is not really understanding why the source of unconditional love is competing with her. And then they compete for the father's attention, and then they compete for the, you know, the family's, to be the pillar in the family, etc. And then what happens with that is that the child gets out of their innocence, the child gets out of their purity, and then the child also goes into compare and contrast, and they get into this competitive behavior, and they isolate themselves, and they start living in separation with the feminine gender. So what happens when they go out into the world, into the school or into university or in life or with friends, there's an unconscious pattern of who's better, there's this competition that's going on, and then that's when people are living in separation.
And you can also notice in your environment, or for yourself in the past as well, how you compare yourself to other women, like in the street, when you are going out, when you're meeting your friends, in your family as well. There's, if you're aware of it, this programming is very embedded, and it's constantly like looking and checking and comparing yourself, even with the magazine, the TV, wherever it's available, as a reflection of what would be the best, an attractive woman, or the smartest woman, the successful woman, and comparing yourself to that.
And it gets even cuter and funnier in my perspective, because growing up as a child, usually children are innocent and they speak up. So usually what would happen, or what I've seen and what I've been receiving from the meditations, is that the children would actually tell the parent, you're behaving this way, and then the parent will be in total denial. No, I'm not doing that, it's all in your head. So I invite you to stay open now with your heart, with your minds, with what Mathilde just said. If you find yourself in comparison mode, a natural reaction would be, no, 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 it's not me. Because that's what we've been witnessing. That's what's been happening. It's also in our DNA. So allow yourself to be truthful to who you are, because the aim of this is not to point fingers. The aim of this is for us to create lightness where there's a bit of shadows.
Yes.
And when we bring that lightness, then it no longer controls us, or it no longer controls the path unconsciously. Yes.
And I will also add a little bit here, so the comparison and the judgment, right? So whenever it comes, reflect back inside you, and what is creating that fear of not being good enough, or comparing yourself to that person, or sending judgment as well, right? So just do your inner work. We've been talking about this before. We may do another talk about it as well. So just understand behind what are the triggers, and you will be more clear about what's happening. Bring all your awareness. Be present in those moments. You will have fast growth. Like I will say, you will have like a speed move into your awakening and awareness, because you will bring awareness in everything around you. So back to the mother now.
Yeah, and I completely agree with Mathilde saying, like, living in full awareness with the subject is crucial. It's very important, Because when we live in comparison, we end up living in judgment. And then when we're living in judgment, the only person we're judging is ourselves.
It's ourselves, yeah.
So every single woman that's
tough.
out there is a reflection of ourselves. We all have the wild woman inside us. We all have the sensual woman inside us. We all have the intellectual woman inside us. We all have the mother inside us. We all have the cook inside us. We all have the nurturer inside us. We all have all aspects of the feminine embodiment inside our own self. Whether we've embodied it or whether it's still dormant, it's there. So when we live in comparison and we're judging, what's happening is we're creating an acidic environment within ourselves, and then the contraction starts. So it's important that we take responsibility of our own life, we take responsibility for our own embodiment, and start changing that within. So what I would recommend is when you look at a woman,
yes, this is a good tool, yes.
Yeah, and the comparison starts to come out, just stop yourself for a second, because you have that awareness that this is like a program running. Take a deep breath, anchor yourself back in your heart. Breath is like a bridge that always brings us back to the now. So just take a deep breath in, anchor yourself with your heart, and look at this woman with curiosity, because she's a reflection of another aspect of yourself. And start finding similarities that you have with her. Everybody's unique. Everybody's gonna have something you don't have. But that's the beauty of it, because then you can appreciate and admire that uniqueness. Because you also have something that nobody else has. So when you find a woman that you find yourself comparing yourself to, and the comparison comes to who's better, find the similarities and acknowledge that you're the same but you're both unique, and start admiring the uniqueness in that woman. And what happens is that uniqueness within you will start being embraced, like a flower that starts to blossom. That part of you will start blossoming. And then as you start doing that, you'll start expanding as a woman more and more. So all the different parts of you will start waking up. Because when we judge something in somebody else, it's just sleeping inside us.
Exactly. And the same way that it goes both ways. So when you acknowledge your beauty, for example, how beautiful you are, you will see it everywhere and in everyone.
Yeah.
Like in everyone, how beautiful she is. And the same way that you will see it in your mother as well, how beautiful she is. No matter what she did in the past and how she's acting today, you will see her beauty as you are seeing the truth, the purity of your beauty within you.
It's very important.
Yes. And so the three things, it was one of Nada's tools that she was showing last 2 weeks ago. I do now a new way, or I have a new tool that whenever I meet someone, I find three qualities, three uniqueness, and it brings so much satisfaction and joy when you reflect that or when you see it, because it reflects back inside you. So it's a beautiful tool, and we invite you, so it's an invitation for all of you, sisters and also brothers if you are watching, to do it any time and every time you meet someone, whether it's a woman or a man. It's beautiful.
And with the mother. So our mothers, you see, we don't know their childhood. We don't know what they've been through. What we do know is what the collective has been through. So the generation before our mother's generation has been through World War II. So we can just imagine the amount of fear that's embedded in their system. We can just imagine the survival mode that they've been in. So we don't know our parents' childhood, because we can't even remember our own childhood. So as much as we ask them, they can't remember their childhood. So we don't know what they've been through. We don't know their story. We didn't walk in their path. So instead of trying to assess them, or instead of trying to, make them fit into a grid that we will accept, let's start looking at them with the similarities, because we wouldn't be who we are today if they weren't who they were during our childhood. So whether it's a good thing or if it's an experience that wasn't too pleasant, everything is here to serve us. So if we start looking at our mothers as if we start humbling ourselves in front of our mothers, because like I said before, like every generation is more evolved than generation before. It doesn't make us better. It just makes us more evolved in terms of consciousness.
More aware. Less in ignorance.
Exactly. So if we look at our mothers with the similarities that we have, because we have similarities with our mother, and start embracing that instead of looking at what's different or what we judge in that mother, what happens is that the relationship starts to blossom, and then the nurturing starts to blossom, and then this unconditional love starts to blossom. And then after that, what happens is you start looking at your mother as a woman instead of looking at your mother as a mother. You will start realizing that she's a woman, a whole entire being on her own. where she's a wife, where she's a cook, where she's a nurturer, where she's a businesswoman, where she's feminine, where she has her own sensual needs.
She's a daughter,
where she's
a sister.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She's a daughter, she's a sister, she's a friend. She's a woman in society. And what happens when you do that is you no longer become the child. You start becoming an equal to your mother.
Exactly.
And that's when you really truly step into your power as a woman.
Exactly.
So that would be the first.
The first one, which is very powerful, and we really invite you to do that and to look through your relationship with your mother in that depth. And just remember as well that your parents, as exactly that Nada was saying, they've been through their childhood, as a teenager as well, as an adult, newly married, newly parents as well, with all their loads of joy and pain as well, but they have done their best that they could with their level of awareness, consciousness, or ignorance, right? So they did the best as they could with that level of awareness, consciousness. So in seeing that, you will also see where you are now today as a parent or parents to become. And you know that you will not reproduce what they did because you are as well more aware, and you're also here to break those cycles. So this is going to be a new change, and what you are learning now and understanding and seeing, you will be able to teach that to the new generations to come. And just foresee the next generations, like go +2, +3 generations, how the world will be with that level of awareness and education and understanding and unity and being equal to each other. Your mother is not your mother, she's a woman, like you are a woman.
Yeah.
Right?
And if you have any emotional attachment to something that's happened in the past, you need to understand something that's very important, is that everything that's happened that's negative and has led you to where you are today, and whoever is watching this is definitely on a path of self-development, or else you wouldn't be watching this. So for us to receive the information or the motivation to be in development, we have actually contracted with our mothers to do whatever they did. But the reason we hold on to that is because that's where our motivation of self-development has come from. So anchor that new consciousness now, that self-development comes from passion of growth, and no longer from pain and suffering and all of that. So you can also clear that in all your paradigms. Yeah? Okay.
We have a question from Rami. So allow us to read it because it's a couple of lines. But that issue is existing in the guys as well. The problem is not in the comparison, it's the denial of having the masculine and feminine energies inside of us. Jealousy is a feminine things, while wishing to have the things that we don't have is a masculine energy.
Thank you,
Balancing
Rami.
this energy will change our life and will heal our own selves in the right and best way, no?
I want to take a moment to really honor that in you, Rami, because it takes a lot of healing for a man to write that. And yes, I completely agree. And maybe we'll do another episode for the masculine.
It's a full topic.
Because it's a full topic on its own, and it has to have its own importance. And I completely agree with you, totally. The men, like the feminine aspect of every single man has a feminine aspect to them. And the feminine aspect to every single man, again, born before the year 2000, has been shut down. And that's something that we need to start waking up. And and obviously you've already started that path, which is wonderful. Something we need to start waking up, and something that we need to, bring out of us. Yes.
So as you said, we have feminine and masculine energy in our individual physical envelope, more developed feminine in a woman body and more developed as a masculine energy in a man body. Now it's our responsibility to go within and see what is creating that unbalance, to create that unification. Of course, as a son, men as son with their mother, they have another attachment and programming there that we can also create another talk for that. But jealousy, I would say, it's a feminine energy, but it's also a feminine energy that you are holding in a masculine, in a man body. We have both. We have those polarities together, creating an union. This is where we are shifting. So whatever is in unbalance within, you need to go through that. Jealousy is not only for women, and what was the other one? Wishing, feminine things, wishing to have the thing that we don't have is a masculine energy. Okay, I lost you a little bit in between, but it's your responsibility to start going through all the layers that are existing and non-existing yet, so it can be realigned and bring back into unity, to bring back into unconditional love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when we started this, we extended our support with the consultations. So the consultations are also open for men. They're not just for women. So we can, until we do our next video, of course, for men. So
because men, you hold the blueprint of the womb.
Yeah.
Yes. So this is why this attachment to mother or this relationship with mother are also very embedded in you. And this is how, after it's sorted in your relationship with women, and how we can actually, through the relationship with your mother, see how you are projecting your feminine energy into your reality on women, like women in general, like family, friends, co-workers, or romantic relationship. So it's a very big topic. We love this topic because we are mastering it. Yes, we keep on mastering ourselves on it. This is when you hold those vibrations to rise the feminine energy, you've been learning through it a lot. Or you've been receiving transmissions, downloads through meditations, as Manada was saying in the morning, this is how it's coming. So we are somehow guides to guide people in their unification within, so it's manifesting in their reality, right? So thank you, Rami. We love those couple of questions, and we would love to have another talk on it.
And it's beautiful that this awareness is surfacing. Yeah, definitely.
Thank you, Rami.
Thank you.
So we've been talking about the mother wand. The first main wand was the comparison. And do we have time to express the second wand that we wanted to express today?
I feel let's tackle it maybe a bit quicker.
Yes.
But let's put it out there.
Yes, and we also already expressed the tool of looking outward in your presentness, in your awareness. It's not English presentness, but in the present, in your awareness.
Like Mathilde said, we're creating our own language. So that's a word now.
Yes. So in your presentness, in your awareness, how you are reacting towards your gender, towards the feminine energy as well. Jealousy, comparison, and see how it's relevant with your mother as well. And the second tool is to just acknowledge your mother as a woman the way that you are in all her complete spectrum and range of feminine embodiments, all right? From wild to wise, from mother, from doula, from sisters, from daughter, from businesswoman, from artist, from mother as well, right?
Yeah.
So that's a couple of tools, and we invite you to reflect on it. Perfect.
And I would add to add, like usually the relationship we have with our mothers is a mother-daughter relationship. Start creating a relationship like you would with your friends. Like get to know her as a woman. Ask her about her day. Ask her what her hobbies are. Find out what her interests are. You know, maybe join her in one of her interests. Explore her as a woman.
And invite her to join your interest as
100%.
well. Yes, yeah. I did that.
Yeah.
That was magical. And I wanted to add something about this that jumped my mind. Anyway, maybe it will come back.
Yeah. So let's go into the second wound really
maybe
quick.
that's why.
So that's the one that we talked about is the main one that we realized that is across most of the women that we encounter. But then the second one is also not being good enough. So what happens is we treat people the way we have been treated or the way we treat ourselves, right? And everybody wants to be like the best version of themselves, and you can go about it in two ways. You can go about it in a way where you're very hard on yourself, and you can go about it in a way where you're curious about life and you are going to expand every day, every moment with what comes your way. And one of them would be more of like a flowy energy, and the other one would be very like harsh with criticism. So again, about the awareness with the year 2000, etc. So what's happened is the growth that most people have received is through criticism in the old paradigm. And what happens with that is the mother's intention is for her daughter to be the most expanded version of herself, but the method that was used is criticism. So what happens when the woman grows up is she becomes very critical of herself. And she starts feeling that everything she does or everything that she is thinking is not good enough, and there always has to be more and more and more and more and more. And a perfection syndrome becomes developed. So we can go into this in depth, but due to time frame, I'm going to just summarize it, and then maybe we can tackle it again, if you want to add anything as well.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, so if you find that you have that within yourself, that you always need to be better and you always need to excel from a place of harshness, from a place of self-criticism, from a place of you're not doing enough, from a place of you're not good enough, I would really invite you to take a moment to bring light to the situation and recognize that everybody, including yourself, in every single moment, in every single time, is doing the best they can. So you are doing the best you can. And if you could do better, you would have. So you are doing the best you can, and really acknowledge that within yourself. And even if the best you can wasn't fitting the perfect, description of whatever you're doing, it is the best that you can, and that is to be honored and that is to be acknowledged. And usually what happens with women, especially in societies, it's like whatever they do isn't highly acknowledged. So I would recommend that every day before you go to sleep, go through what you have done in your day and acknowledge yourself for those things. Give credit to yourself for everything that you are, everything you've participated in, every person that you've crossed paths with. So give yourself credit. And what happens with time, once you start recognizing yourself and recognizing your participation in life, eventually the criticism will diminish, it will decrease, and then the energy from criticism to flow will open up. And then the person will be more of an expansion state.
Yeah, and they will now have needs as well. You won't have need anymore to look out for compliments or for congratulation of how you were saying
validation.
Validation, yes.
Yeah. So
of what you are doing. And mothers, they are very good at this. They are looking for validations because they are sacrificing themselves as a mother, and they are looking for validation after. See how the cycles are very easy, like those wheels are very easy to turn on and to make it like a very good pattern where extracting become with efforts, like it needs an awakening for that. I want to also add quickly as well, now you're kidding me, it's jumped my mind again. Yes. Talking about this wheel that is becoming dense and heavy, the generation of our parents and grandparents, and even before, they were not in touch with their emotions. They were not allowed to express their emotions. It was like very suppressed. So your parents, they were, I'm just giving a generalization here, like suppressing their emotions and not speaking their truth, right? So whatever they were saying or telling you, it was not especially always what they wanted you to say, right? To keep the good figure, to keep the good parents, the good role, to make you as best as possible and back to the perfection as well. So, so now, when Nada was saying how you can become the best version of yourself, then even you can use that with your mother or with your parents and with your children, if you have children. Ask them, express your emotion, tell me what's happening so I can help you and become even better, or become better as a mother, right? Or as a daughter. Express to me. If you have this awareness and connecting to your emotions, you're able to help and guide your environment, your family, your mother, children to also express their emotion. And you will see how it becomes harmonious and it shifts completely what has been on in terms of programming for years and generations.
And what Mathilde is saying is super powerful, because what actually happens is you create a ripple effect. So if you do that with your mother, let's say, then your mother will do that with her mother and her sisters, and then when she does that with her sister, then her sister will do that with her sisters and her friends, and then you're creating a ripple effect. So every action you take in that positive direction is actually magnified in and spread in the bigger picture.
Because remember what Nada was saying at the beginning, it's one womb. Yes, so we are all united and unified through this beautiful temple, sacred space that you have here, that hold all the DNA and all the generations and lineage here. We have a question.
Yes, you have a couple of
yes, we are, love, we are.
And some of them they need to have clarification.
So I want to say hi to Garija. Hi Garija, she's in India. She's a good friend of mine.
Hello.
Yes, definitely. So she's asking, does comparisons give rise to the feelings of not being enough? Of course. When people are living in comparison, they're living in comparison so they can validate themselves. You know, who's better, who's not better, where am I in my life, etc. So I would really recommend and this is a natural thing. This is something that we're born with. Like, even if you look at the way society's formed, you know, like who's the first student in school, who's the A student, like there's always a grading. What I would recommend, Garija, for you and most people is that look into the similarities. Go back to the similarities. Yes, there are differences, for sure. Or else, you know, like I always use the example of the garden. If a garden only had roses, it would get it wouldn't even be a garden. It would be a bouquet. And then when you have the tulips and the orchids and the lilies and these beautiful flowers here, that's when it becomes a garden, because you have a variety of diversity. So differences will always be there. And this is how humanity's formed. We're like a big garden. So instead of focusing on the differences like they're not good or we need to be the same, start looking at the similarities and embrace the differences. So when I meet someone that's completely different than me, I get so curious, like, wow, I love to know more about this expression of consciousness. And what I do when I do that, I give an invitation for myself to be even more in depth with my uniqueness. Yeah?
Yes, I will also add on the other angle as well is comparison is based on insecurities. So reflect there and also look at the insecurities within you that is creating lacks and therefore comparison. What I don't have, right?
Very
Which
true.
basically you already have everything, but we think that we don't.
And that's another thing where you just turn on the light to it. It's probably dormant.
Yes.
Just turn on the light, wake it up inside your system.
And you will see a beautiful garden around you. Not only the feet and the grass. Right, perfect.
So we're going to dive into a meditation.
Yes.
Yeah?
So if you are joining now, you can watch the video later. We've been going through the main wand in the motherhood and giving the tools as well, so you can reflect that and be more aware and more conscious in your life, more present, and to start shifting those cycles and patterns that you've been holding consciously and unconsciously in your life.
Another tool just came to me.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, another tool that so we talked about humbling ourselves. We talked about looking at our mothers as individual women, and then breaking the pattern of being the child. So we're both equals, we're both adults in all this situation, and exploring all aspects of her and allowing her, or giving her the permission to explore all aspects of us. But another beautiful tool is also not to take everything personal. So if our mother does something, or if a sister in life does something, and by sister I don't mean biological sister, I mean any woman on the planet, does something that you don't resonate with, our natural state is to make it about us. Like, oh, they did this to me, you know? So I would really also invite you to look at this from a broader perspective. So it's not like they did this to me, it's more like they did this, and how I react is what I choose to be in what frequency. So nobody's doing anything to us. So people behave according to their own veils, their own perspectives, their own understanding. And then the way you receive it is according to the perception that you're receiving it in. So always when people are behaving in different ways that you resonate with or that you don't, so it goes both ways, look at it from a place of curiosity, from a place of observation, instead of like, this is all the good and the different experiences, this is happening to me. So this will really help you build bridges of love with people instead of like cages and barriers with people.
Beautiful.
Okay, so let's drop into a beautiful meditative state. So I would invite you all to just close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Take another deep breath in. And exhale. And we're going to take a third deep breath in, bringing our awareness to the now. Just being present with our body. Breathe in and breathe out. I want you to imagine in front of you a woman. And this woman can be any form or shape or color. This woman is pregnant. And there's a fetus inside her belly, inside her womb. I want you to zoom yourself into the fetus. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, I want you to acknowledge that this fetus is growing and that spirit has embodied this fetus. This divine, magnificent, forever expanding spirit has come into this fetus to experience human life. Take a moment to acknowledge that divinity. And as you look at the fetus in the womb, you're going to notice that there's a bubble around the fetus, a bubble around the baby. And this bubble is a bubble of energy. This bubble has energies from the mother and all the mother's emotions. And this bubble has energies that the baby has come with. Everything is intertwined. So allow yourself to swim in these energies. And as our true nature is a nature of alchemy, we're going to take a moment and start transforming the energies in this bubble. Take a moment to look at what we are removing. Any energies of fear we are putting out of the bubble. Any energies of survival we're sending out of the bubble. Any energies of frustration, send it out of the bubble. With intention, with your hand, whatever works for you, we are alchemists. Just send it out of the bubble. Any energy of being stuck, send it out of the bubble. Any energy of anger is discreated now. Any feeling of having invaluableness, of unworthiness, of unimportance is out of the bubble. Take a deep breath in. Any energy of not being enough, of resentment, of regret, of rejection, send it out of the bubble. It will transform itself in the cosmos into unconditional love. Any energies of suppression, of being a mistake, of being in the wrong gender, of being in the wrong body, of being in the wrong family, of being in the wrong race. Just simply let it out of the bubble. Any energy of limitation or difficulty that's present in that bubble, allow it to be released. And I'm going to give you a moment to look at your own personal bubble. If there's any other limited frequency in that bubble of light, tap into it, acknowledge it, and release it. Taking a deep breath in and letting go. Tapping back to the frequency of the divine spirit that's entered the fetus, entered the baby. We're now going to transform and alchemize all the frequencies that we removed with new ones. Bringing in the frequency and the energy and the vibration of support. Bringing in the frequency of abundance into the bubble, into the womb, into the baby. The frequency of prosperity and the energy of thriving. Bringing in the energy of passion, of desire, of creativity, of embodiment, of sensuality, of creating, of generating, of manifesting, bringing all that into the human form in the baby. Breathing in and out to anchor these frequencies. Bringing in the energies of value, of importance, of royalty.